Starfield is looking to be quite the expansive world, and we just got a lot of new information on it. I'm really excited about this one because we actually got a lot of news pertaining to the story around Bethesda's upcoming game. It sheds a lot of light on the factions we will be seeing and how we will engage with them. And what is up guys, Andrew from the Den here, and pretty recently Bethesda released another developer diary for Starfield. This one being a little bit different from the others, so get ready for all the latest on what they are calling the settled systems. Either way, we have a ton of news to go through, so let's not waste any time and get right into the video. Last time we heard of anything on Starfield, it was a series of videos describing a couple of the locations we will be traveling to. These included Aquila, Neon City, and New Atlantis, all of which being very different in nature from one another. We only got to see them in the concept art stage and not in the all-new engine, but they were very cool to see nonetheless. The new one we got is very similar to the others, but this time we explore a different aspect of Starfield. So I mentioned a little bit earlier in the video with the location of the game being in what we now know as the settled systems. Setting is key to Bethesda games. Fallout takes place in a post-apocalyptic Earth, Elder Scrolls takes place on the fantasy world of Nirn, and Starfield looks to be within our solar system in the year 2330. The time it takes place is key, with it being near future, but far enough away that a lot could have happened in our own timeline. So that could also mean not to expect crazy inventions, but things that we could likely be on the path to having at some point. It is, however, very likely that we see many alien creations and a lot that will look completely out of this world. In a relatively small pocket of the Milky Way, we will find the location of the game being known as the settled systems. About 50 light years away from our current system, it is still relatively close that it is believable that we could get there in about 300 years. Bethesda really looks to be making a world that could happen in our own timeline and grounding it into what we might see sometime in the future. That doesn't mean I don't expect to see some crazy things in the game, but the premise of it all seems to be very realistic. I really want to clarify that this is not just some insane sci-fi adventure that's going to take us to different universes in the blink of an eye. We're gonna see the full extent of what the settled systems has to offer, and I imagine that this will change a lot of people's expectations for the game if they were thinking it's something like No Man's Sky. Moving on though, we have already talked a little bit about a couple of factions we will be seeing in a different video, so if you missed that, the link will be in the description box below. The two major factions we see in the developer diary are the Freestar Collective and the United Colonies. In the year 2310, we see these two groups involved in what is now known as the Bloody Colony War. This sets the stage for Starfield being set just 20 years later, with the settled systems still being very dangerous. The two major factions did eventually reach an end to the conflict, but are in a state of uneasy peace. This will no doubt be a major story beat for the game and coincide a lot with what the player is doing with Constellation. Bethesda can realistically take this in a lot of different ways, but I imagine we will eventually have to pick a side between the two to end the Bloody Colony War for good. You can really see a lot of resemblance with the story of New Vegas, of the NCR, Legion, and Mr. House all vying for possession of the Hoover Dam. Even though we don't have a lot of information on what to expect from the main storyline in Starfield, I expect plenty of interaction with both the Freestar Collective and United Colonies. Bethesda is really starting to bring together the lore we will be seeing and set the building blocks for the eventual world that we will be playing through. This is just the beginning for Starfield, with a lot more to come in the future. This isn't the end though, because we get a little information on some potential enemies that we will be seeing in-game. The Freestar Collective and United Colonies aren't the only factions we will be seeing in Starfield. There are plenty more, like the Ecliptic Mercenaries, Pirates of the Crimson Fleet, Violent Spacers, or even the fanatical religious zealots of House Va'ruun. We don't have a lot of information on these ones as of yet, but I assume they will be similar to that of the Gunners, Raiders, and the Children of Adam from Fallout. I hope that we will be able to delve into the lore of these factions, with all of them sounding very unique from anything we have seen from Bethesda before. It would even be interesting to see if we could join up with some of these factions and potentially become space pirates. Keeping with Bethesda's formula, having an evil faction that lets you play on the darker side of the game is something that we should see. Having to play the good character all the time is what a lot of players don't want to see. We should have a couple of options to choose from so we are not always just the law-abiding player. Constellation will be the main faction that we are a part of, and you are considered to be one of their newest members. The goal of Constellation is to uncover the mysteries of the galaxy, and the player will have to delve through the settled systems to do just that. Factions have always been a big part of Bethesda games, and Constellation looks to be the one that will allow the player to explore everything you can around this new solar system. Starfield is a world that is already looking to be heavily steeped in lore. This is just the beginning for Bethesda's next big game, and hopefully the steady stream of developer diaries continues so we can learn all that we have to before we hop in to play it for ourselves. We still have a little over a year till it releases, so expect a lot more news to come out for us, and we here at the Denman will cover it all. Starfield could be the sci-fi adventure that we have all been waiting for, so get ready to explore all of it. But that is all for me now though, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Comment any videos you want to see in the future, and I'll see you all next time.